the app management service of Nomasis, but moreover also about best practice in app management nowadays. Short view onto the agenda, introduction, what we just had, why do we need apps, what is app management, why app management, and then I will present you the Nomasis App Management Service, and we'll also talk about automation in regard of app management. So these are the baseline questions we are going to discuss together in this webinar. Apps. So why do we need apps? Of course, because nowadays mobile devices like smartphones, tablets, but also moreover desktop computers, etc., they communicate via apps to our company's backend. So if we need to give access to company data, we use apps. This makes processes, so the potential that they make processes more efficient is a clear fact, because actually we have easy access. You know, when we look back, I went to the airport, or you went to the airport for travel, you wanted to check your mails, you had to take your laptop, you had to boot it up. With Windows 10 that goes rather fast. In earlier days, it took a minute or two to get ready. Then you needed to open a VPN connection to your company, and then finally the gate was opened and you switched off and you didn't check your mails. Today, we just take our tablet or handy or mobile phone to your hands, and you're already connected, 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi. Maybe you need to connect to Wi-Fi, but at the end, the data is already on your device, and you can easily check your company data like email, but as well, of course, other stuff. Now, a few years ago, if you look at the whole app management a few years ago in enterprise mobility or MDM, what did we do a few years ago? We distributed apps out of the official app store. Companies had no or a few in-house apps. We could do some rudimentary settings, mostly the native functionality where we were able to distribute an app or uninstall the app. We basically didn't have private business app data separation. That means we were able to exchange data from business apps with private and vice versa. And we needed a VPN connection, a separate VPN infrastructure to access company data with our apps. And this, of course, resulted in low usability with all the glitches that when you have to access other stuff, you needed to terminate the VPN connection manually, etc. Today, this all works a bit different. We have, of course, still this distribution of official App Store apps, which we can do. Many companies have more or less a lot of in-house apps, but, which they use to mobilize their business processes. We can definitely do separation of private and business apps. This is already from the operating system vendors like Apple, Android, etc. They already natively offer possibilities to do that. We can configure apps. Imagine a few years ago, maybe you installed an app for a user, he had to enter manually server name, username, passwords. This can be accomplished today by sending an app configuration for a dedicated app or apps. We can have a secure communication, on-demand communication with per app VPN or app tunnels without having to use separate VPN infrastructures. We can apply DLP policies, so data loss prevention. We can define if it's allowed to print or copy-paste or to open documents or data in other apps, and we can define which apps this should be. And, of course, we secure data in motion, at rest, and in transit. And we can also this leads all into app projects and lifecycle management, which increases the usability for users, because the only thing they need to do is to register in their MDM, and everything else is basically configured at the end for them. Before going into mobile application management, let's have a look where MAM, so mobile application management, is located in the unified endpoint management landscape. This is the courtesy of 42gears.com, an image which impressively shows how big the piece of cake of mobile application management became today. So we have the EMM system, which mostly contains the enterprise app store, where we publish our apps, from where we configure our apps, and this, of course, needs more attention nowadays, because we need to configure the stuff, we need to make sure that the data is secure on the device, etc., etc. So today it's not only distributing apps or building apps, in-house apps, and distribute them. So the app management starts much earlier. So app management is definitely a need today. We see that with many of our customers. And this starts with identify business processes which are ported to the devices, so to apps. This is a process where companies mostly focus on a where does it make sense basis. That means that when we try to mobilize processes, internal company processes, we don't just take a process and say, yeah, let's put that on your app. But no, we want to gain efficiency by mobilizing business processes. That means that we identify where we can spare time, or where we can spare time in mobilizing. Let's make an example. We have a customer where people usually went on the road, maybe to customers' homes, to repair something. And they had these nice paper forms where they filled them out with pen. They brought these forms back to the company, and then there were some back office people. They took those forms and input the data into a system. So today we can offer a nice app to that guy that goes to the customer, and instead of using a paper, he can use an app, and the data is processed automatically to the back end of his company. So identifying the business processes which make sense to mobilize, this is certainly one of the first and biggest and most difficult tasks in app management. Then, of course, once the business process is identified, or we say, okay, we want to mobilize this process, there it starts with either an app development. Maybe there are no solutions on the market for what you like to do. So then maybe you will contact an app development company or have internal development resources, and they will start developing the app. Or integration project, that means we take an existing app, maybe from the official app store, or maybe the backend offers a nice web interface, which you can access with a secure browser of your MDM solution, or with the native browser with certain configurations, and integrate this. Don't think always about app management is not always about in-house apps, or it's more over mobilizing the processes. So integrate them into existing solutions if possible. If it's not possible, then of course we will develop known in-house apps. Then, once you identify that maybe you want to develop an in-house app, you might want to integrate the so-called MDM or EMM framework into your app in order to have a good interaction, a good interface to your MDM solution. Mostly all the market leaders like AirWatch, Mobile Iron, or other EMM vendors, they offer such frameworks. There we talk about app wrapping. That's mostly the term used for this, so that you are able to secure your app with the onboard configurations and policies of your MDM framework. And this needs to be integrated by either by the app development company or your app developers, or by wrapping the app with some wrapping tools your EMM solution is giving you. Once it is done, of course, release management, also an important part. At least once a year you need to update, example iOS apps, you need to update them at least once a year, even if you don't do bug fixes or changes to features, because the provisioning profile, the provisioning certificate is expiring, and you need to update the app. But what we see from other customers, it's more that it's a living project where new features are built in, bug fixes, so we will have several releases throughout the year per app. So release management is also an important part of app management, like we do for other computer programs. Lifecycle management, of course, also an important part, because maybe the app is outdated, or maybe the back end is replaced by another one, things need to be changed, etc. Then, almost last but not least, app security. We already talked about it. Securing data on the device, data in transit, DLP and stuff. This also needs a lot of attention nowadays, especially when people use devices privately as well. And, maybe in a bring your own device infrastructure, but also on corp devices. Most companies allow people to use corp devices personally as well. So actually, there is no big deal today doing this extreme separation between bring your own device or corp devices. We just want that apps containing our company data are secured. This, of course, leads all into a better usability. People are more reachable. People maybe they need less time to use to do certain operations. Again, the example, opening the laptop, booting it up, etc. It's on the hand. And usability can also lead into better security. I always say security starts with the user and ends with the user. If you don't give the user a nice and easy way to handle company data, he becomes creative. Maybe he's forwarding stuff to his private email account or to his private Dropbox, etc. But if you offer your users clear and easy to use processes on the devices, then they will rather choose the easy way than the creative way. Good. Now, let's see what Nomasis offers you with this app management service. As you can see, this is the Nomasis Service Cube. We allocated the app management service into the operational service. So, of course, there's always also a big infrastructure involved when we create or build mobile processes or apps. But basically, it's an operational service where we help you from beginning of your identifying to the mobilization of processes, to lifecycle and release management. So what do we do in our app management service? We consult you. We help you identifying which or where it makes sense to mobilize. We have broad experience with customers all over the different branches like industry, banks, insurance, etc. So even public, how do you say, public entities. Yeah. Sorry. And there we can consult you, help you in identifying which or where it makes sense and where we bring efficiency in with mobilizing processes and putting them into apps or existing solutions. Then, of course, engineering. So we start from, mostly we start with a kickoff meeting with the app developers and the responsible person. So actually we create a project. And of course, this leads into project management. Then we engineer the whole solution. We have people helping you in building the apps, maybe to the project leading, but also consulting and engineering with the app developers, helping them integrate the MDM frameworks, etc. And once the app is in production, then of course we also give support on your app or processes. So, identify business cases, doing project management, development consulting and support, release management, and lifecycle management. So these are the main tasks we see and where we offer our services. And in the meantime, we can also offer operation automation. So think of a company. We have one company, they have around 5,000 to 6,000 productive apps. So there is no way that someone can update the app once a year to renew the distribution profile. This cannot be done manually. So we created a script which downloads the app automatically from your MDM solution, signs it, wraps it if needed, and increases the version number and uploads it again back to core, assigns it so to the MDM system, assigns it to the respective user so that they are able to update it. So operation automation is also one of the most interesting and needed feature. Of course, if you have just 1, 2, or 3 apps, there it doesn't make sense. It can be done manually, either by us or we can teach you how to do it and you can do it yourself. But as soon as you have more apps, always think of automation, which makes your life easier. Now, here is another view of the whole app management service with more images. So we talked about it. We define the requirements, business cases, check environments, which features do you need, lifecycle, wrapping, documentation, always very important part. Then we also take track of the expiration dates. So that means that if we know we have an app project with you and this app was signed today, before we will note that date when the profile will expire, we will contact you, we will help you, or like we do with other customers, we do it right away and upload it to the core ourselves. Then in the project itself, we have the validation part where also when we renew an app or a provision profile, rollout management, this app needs to be updated, because remember, if a provision profile is expired, the user cannot start the app anymore. So it's important that when you publish an update, running update, when it's tested and you publish it to production, that you take track, or we take track, that the users actually update the app on their devices. Then, as mentioned, the advanced services, let's automate things. On the next slide, I will tell about automation. So basically, having one app or 10 apps doesn't mean that we have 10 times more to do. Usually, it's potentiated by 2. It feels like having 20 apps. As soon as you have, it's just a number, 10 apps. You have a lot of more work keeping track on expiring certificates, new features, testing, bug fixes, but also ratings from user, input from users. Could you please add this and that? So that means really a lot of work, and that's where the App Management Service of Nomasis tries to assist you. Then again, the recurring tasks we have, like renewing, expiring provisioning profile or certificates, increasing app version numbers due to that, etc. The recurring tasks can be automated. As mentioned, we have an own script which can be applied to your MDM system, the so-called Nomasis App Management Script, which does that. There are also nice solutions like Incaptic from the company Incaptic, where at the end you can place an app which is delivered from your app developer, which is done. You place it in a folder, and a little bit later it's already automatically signed, wrapped, whatever, and uploaded to your MDM system. And you can even go further there and make sure that it's applied to the correct user group and updated onto the devices. Then, of course, different customers, different needs. We can also do custom automation for you, like, just talk to us. Let's say, listen, we need to do this every year or every month. We need to do the same operation. Can we automate this? And actually, a side remark, not only in app management, but also in maintenance of the MDM system, etc. We can help you do automation of the whole MDM and for apps. Reporting. Also, we have a few customers, they like to see reports, how much is an app installed, how much is it used, etc. This, of course, should not be a manual report where you have to collect the data, put it into a CSV, and then nicely format and send it to someone. This can all be automated. So if you have needs on reporting for app usage or app distribution, but also MDM reporting, contact us. We can help you here. Good. I hope I was able to bring your attention to how much important it is nowadays to use apps in the company, basically to streamline and to make processes more efficient, but also to show you that the attention on app management is really, really one of the most important points when we talk about mobile devices, because actually, as I mentioned in the beginning, you can, the only way to access your company data is through apps. And again, I'm not talking just about in-house apps, also native apps of the various operating system providers can already mobilize your processes to a certain extent. They don't sleep. They also see the need of companies. They build new options, and this can be done. Now, just as a reminder, for those that use Android in-house apps at the moment, don't forget that soon the usual MDM, let's say the native MDM which we use on Android, will be depreciated by Google, and we recommend customers to join the Android Enterprise community. So all the MDM systems support Android Enterprise. This is the future of separation, company, private data again, container. Android Enterprise will be the only way to manage Android devices in the future with an MDM system. And there it's important to understand that in-house apps, they are not traditionally, as it is traditionally, they are not distributed to devices by the Enterprise App Store directly, but they need to be published into the Google Play Store for Enterprise. That doesn't mean that your apps are available to the whole world, because you will publish those apps as private apps. That means that only your domain, so your company, can access those apps. And in order to do that, also to configure the app and keep the whole security and configuration capabilities of your MDM system, you need to contact your app developers in order that they prepare the in-house apps for Android Enterprise. Most of the development companies with which we partner or which we know, they know about this. They already started this transition to Android Enterprise in-house apps. If you or your app development company are not aware about this, don't hesitate to involve Nomasis if needed.